Hey everyone, how y'all doing today? I thought I might change things up today. Go outside, we can go for a little walk, talk about tea. Since for this subject I won't need to be actively brewing tea to discuss it. I've been thinking a lot about all the misconceptions in the tea industry and how we can better filter through them. I think a lot of it comes down to the way we think about tea and how we can perceive what we're buying. And one is, not all tea is healthy. And this seems very simple enough. But you hear things like green tea is good for this, black tea is good for this, raw pu-erh is good for this. But when I hear things like that, to me, especially with an agricultural product being grown in a foreign country without any standards, certifications, I think that's the same as saying food's healthy. But we all know that's not true. Not all food is healthy. Fast food is not healthy. Food that uses excess amounts of oils or low quality oils is not healthy. Food that's grown with lots of pesticides and hormones and chemicals is not healthy. So there's a big distinguishing thing we need to apply when we're thinking about tea. Is it healthy for us? Also, there's also certain types of food is more suitable for certain body types. Tea is the same way. So we just want to deeply think about this. Here in the US, with grocery stores and restaurants, there's a lot of certifications. You can do USDA certification, non-GMO. There's certain standards that food needs to achieve in order to be sold at our supermarkets. And in tea, especially with tea coming from China, there's very little to no standardization or certifications to be passed in order for the tea to be bought and then sold to someone. And most of the time it's also very difficult to sell directly with the farm. You usually will have to buy tea. The farm wants to sell it to a distributor, which then they'll sell to an import exporter, and then the import exporter will sell to a small business or a large business. And one concept that a lot of tea consumers don't know about, which I will share with you today, the last 10 years I've been doing business, is a lot of people selling tea or wholesaling tea in Asia or in China are import exporters. And a lot of small businesses or big businesses have a name of the tea they like. I got some feedback from my consumers that I want to get some teguanyin. And then they have a price point. How much are they willing to spend for that teguanyin? Because they know their customers are willing to spend this much money. And unfortunately, that's about it. Small businesses are usually saying a name of tea they want and a price point. And then it goes to the import exporter, who sometimes doesn't always look like an import exporter. And they say, oh, you want teguanyin at this price point? Okay. And they contact their hundreds of distributors or farms and say, I need a teguanyin at this price point. And maybe you can't get a teguanyin at that price point. So they find another way to produce a tea that is similar to teguanyin at that price point. And that's kind of how this cycle continues. There's no standards or certifications that need to be achieved, though there are some we can use, like SGS certification, USD organic certification, but they are not the best gauge always. And in China, quality equals cleanly. Quality equals clean. In America, clean equals quality. But in Asia, it's very different. If you have a very high quality product, it is inherently believed that it must be clean in order to sell at such a high price. There's certain practices that need to happen to be able to produce the highest quality tea. And since tea is very subtle and beautiful, it's usually very clean or naturally grown high in the mountains. And there's no reason, if it's already being sold at a very high price and there is a demand to sell it at that high price, why would they need to go out of their way to get additional certifications? So now that you kind of have that whole picture, one other thing I want to leave you with is an analogy that I use. So if I'm eating food, one day I'm eating food at home, one day I'm going to restaurants, then I'm going to fast food, then I'm going to my friend's house, then I'm going to my own home, and every meal I'm eating at a different location. And this goes on for a few days, maybe weeks, and then I get sick. It'll be very difficult to understand why I'm sick. But on the contrary, if I was at home every day cooking organic food for a few weeks, I had control over my raw material, and then one day I decided to go eat fast food. It'll be very easy to understand why we shouldn't eat fast food all the time. Very aggressive, uncomfortable feeling in the body. And this brings me back to my 3-day rule. While certifications and technical thinking will help when purchasing tea, you can also use your own experience when drinking tea. And I think this can be very, very beneficial. And that 3-day rule is training our bodies to be more sensitive. So if I have a lot of teas in my collection that I've spent a lot of time with, and I know are all clean, and I'm drinking those teas regularly, I'm always very comfortable, feel good, tastes good. And there's a new tea that I want to explore. Look at this, we even got tea on the ground. There's a new tea that I want to explore. I can drink that tea and sit with it, and I immediately have an uncomfortable reaction to that tea. That's probably a good indication maybe that tea isn't of good quality or isn't clean. So we're using our own experience to help us identify the quality of teas, making our body more sensitive. So that should be some useful things to think about. And remember, not all tea is healthy. It's great to be optimistic, but we also have to remember this is a product coming from a foreign country with very little standardizations or certifications. It's a very big industry, and inherently tea in Asia, there are people willing to spend a large amount of money and actively looking that are wealthy, educated, intelligent, and they're willing to spend lots of amount of money for good teas. So how can someone here in the US so easily get a hold of the best tea in the world? So keep that in mind. Hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about this video, past videos, future videos, as always, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Also, let me know, how do you like this video? Do you want me behind the tea table all the time? Or do you like when things change up a little bit and we go for a walk and talk about tea? So have a great, wonderful day and look forward to sharing more.